Podcast City Network.
Thank you for tuning in on this episode of The Everett Lee Show. But before we get on with the guest onto the program today, there's a couple things I do want to mention that you can help out with supporting The Everett Lee Show. If you're looking to start a podcast and already have a podcast and you're looking for an affordable podcasting hosting site, Podbean's your number one choice. Podbean offers statistics with in-depth analytics to manage your podcast needs. Use the promo code podbeam.com/pbsignup and get a free month off. That's podbeam.com/pbsignup to get a free month off and see why 1,500 episodes have been shared all over the world in the past 11 years with over 3,000 subscribers that have chose Podbeam as their number one hosting site. And if you're looking to get into advertising, Podbeam advertising, you'll get $100 off advertising when you sign up as a sponsorship over on podbeam.com/pro/pbsignup. That's podbeam.com/pro/pbsignup.
You're listening to The Everett Lee Show.
Welcome, everyone, to The Everett Lee Show. I'm The Everett Lee. Hope everyone's enjoying their week, as I am. I'm sitting back here enjoying a Red's hard apple. I prefer Jack and Coke because I'm that type of podcast. It's better than fruit punch, just plain fruit punch, if you're blue about that, if you know what I'm talking about. But besides that, doing things a little bit different this week on the podcast here. I'm bringing you an interview from ELS Uncut episode 26 this week with independent wrestler No Shame Jimmy Shane. He's a two-time OCW Heavyweight Champion and the longest reigning OCW Ohio Heritage Champion. Ripper Blackheart joined me on ELS Uncut with the interview with Jimmy Shane as we sit back and discuss Jimmy coming up in wrestling, some funny stories that Jimmy shares with Ripper Blackheart and I, and, of course, Jimmy talking about wrestling and Ripper talking about wrestling. Good stories there with Ripper and Jimmy sharing the story. I hope you all enjoy it. And you can keep up with Jimmy Shane. You can buy his merchandise over on ProWrestlingTees.com/Jimmy Shane. You can follow Jimmy Shane over on YouTube, Jimmy Shane TV, over on Twitter at Jimmy Shane, and on Instagram, Jimmy Shane. So without further ado, here is the interview with none other than No Shame Jimmy Shane. Joining us right now on the video chat here is none other than independent wrestler No Shame Jimmy Shane. How you doing, Jimmy?
Not too bad, guys. How's it going?
Not bad, not bad. Just discussing a lot of stuff about comic books and talking about the new Batman film and just the new Spider-Man 3 film with the untitled home added to the title. We were discussing that there. Ripper was talking with me, and he said that you're a big comic book fan yourself.
Yep. Actually, where I'm up in my attic right now, where all my comics are stored, so I had to move them out of the way so I wasn't distracted during all this.
Are you more Marvel or DC?
I'm a DC guy. It's not like I hate Marvel, but I'm definitely lean more DC.
Okay. Favorite DC character?
So this is real, like, you got to be a comic book fan. It's not, I do like Superman, but I prefer the clone of Superman, Superboy. That's my favorite character.
Okay. All right. Nice. Superboy.
Kind of like old other professional wrestler, comic geek, Aaron Williams. Everybody loves Batman, not Eric Williams. He loves Nightwing.
Yep.
I like the new Superboy probably better than any other Superboy that they've done. Just for the simple fact is he's part Superman, part Lex Luthor.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is which is the bad boy streak in it. Which Jimmy knows all about. Jimmy knows.
Oh, of course.
a lot with the story of Superboy, like Ripper said there, he was, because didn't that story change over the years, or they kind of kept the same thing with it, with him being a clone with Lex Luthor, right?
Yeah, he was always a clone of Superman, but they didn't reveal that he was part Lex Luthor until about 2003, I think, and he debuted in during the Death of Superman, whatever that was, the early 90s.
That was 96, something like that. I only know this because recently I told you, Everett, I've been inventorying my comics, me and the wife, and she has a shit ton of Superman stuff, and I had to do a bunch of that the other day. When I got done, I didn't even finish yet, and I've already surpassed 1,600. So,
damn.
And I just got another shipment. And I just got another shipment from Brian down in Hamilton. So There's more inventory. But Jimmy, since a lot of the fans here on Everett show probably don't know much about you being from Ohio and all. Like I stated earlier this week, I'm profiling indie wrestlers on my Facebook page, and I've known Jimmy since he worked security for OCW. He doesn't know this, but when we would call him the Human Shield, because they had this barricade, they had this metal barricade around the ring,
right?
And if somebody was about ready to fly into it, Jimmy would be diving over there to lean up against that, so it wouldn't go into the crowd.
Yeah.
Wow. Damn, man. Now
we would call him the Human Shield, and like I said, that's when I first met Jimmy. And then he would come to the shows in Lima with the crew that would come up from OCW, and he'd help set up, tear down, do all that. He trained to be a wrestler, and he's wrestler, booker, pretty much the head of creative right now at OCW.
Oh, nice.
Which ain't bad for a kid that was the Human Shield starting off.
Okay.
That's amazing, man. That's amazing. If you don't mind me asking, how old are you, Jimmy?
I'm 29.
29. Nice.
Doesn't look a day over 40, does he?
No. I think that's amazing. There, you're starting out. That's how basically you got your start there. You were doing security, and you've been a fan of wrestling growing up. What was some of your earliest memories of watching wrestling growing up? What got you to into wrestling growing up?
So this all ties in together because being 29, that means when I was like 7s during the Attitude Era, my mom wasn't letting me watch that stuff with DX in the crotch chop and Stone Cold giving the little fingers. I wasn't allowed to watch that. So one day my stepdad flipped to the channels. This is in 2002. This is when I started watching wrestling. So I was old. Wrestling wasn't cool anymore. And I was there flipping through the channels, and he turned on to see Rikishi because he heard about him at work. And he wanted to see him do the stink face, put his butt in someone's face, and I was just a kid sitting on the couch like, sure, whatever. Then the segment right after the Rikishi thing was the Hurricane.
Oh.
So there's this wrestling superhero, and I was like, there's a superhero? That's really cool. And then he changed the channel after that. But there was one of those, like, coming up next will be the Hurricane. So he changed the channel, and I was like, and I ran down into the basement to watch wrestling because I was, like, kind of ashamed to watch it, I feel like. I was like, I got to hide that I'm watching wrestling. So I went down to the basement, turned it on, and from then on I was hooked.
Nice. Hurricane Sean Helms. He was great, man. He had a great career, and he still does independent shows and still makes appearances even to this day, which I think it's great, and even at conventions. Have you ever been to those conventions where you have a lot of the workers that are there, and you get to meet some that you may have seen along the way there on TV or even like at shows?
I actually don't think I've ever been to a wrestling convention. I know they exist, but we're
usually booked.
Yeah. And that one, we were supposed to be appearing at one in the fall, right? And then that got canceled because of everything going on.
Yeah.
So
because we were going to be, what was that? Ottawa, Salina, one of those two was having something like that, more like a PopCon
Yeah.
Culture Con, but yeah. Yeah, me too. I've never been to an actual wrestling convention.
Except one with Virgil, right?
Oh, yeah, I forgot. We had to throw that.
I had to throw that out there.
I want to call it that. I was in a room with Sleepy Greg the Hammer Valentine. But, we did get a cool podcast out of Paul London with that, though. So
that's fantastic. I love that. I still love that story. I went back and if you get a chance to listen to it, I think it was on episode 205 with Ripper Blackheart there, Jimmy. Towards the end of it, when he's talking about the Virgil stories, that's great. I still even laugh about it, and it's just funny, man.
Jimmy's got a story for you.
Okay,
tell him the Grant story, Jimmy. Tell him the mean thing you made me do to Grant.
So, as you said. So when Ripper talks about how he's known me for years, this goes back, I got involved in wrestling when I was 18, 19. So that's 10, 11 years. So I've not only known Ripper the whole that time, I've known his children that whole time.
Wow.
So a few years ago, so I've seen them grow up, and even though they're not that much younger than me, it feels like they are. Because I was, the adult wrestling guy over there, and they were Ripper's kids, and I was looking out for them. So a few years ago, once I started helping to train the kids at wrestling, we brought along a few of them to one of the shows, and the headline Grant Andrews, who Ripper manages in Ohio Championship Wrestling. So he has a strong bond with Ripper already. So we're out at the after party, and Grant starts dancing with this girl, who happens to be Ripper's daughter. So I pulled Grant aside and I start chewing him out, yelling at him, telling him, no, she's off limits. Don't do that. Why would you dance with her of all people? There's this bar full of people. Why would you dance with her? You're going to lose your career. Ripper's going to quit managing you. He's going to get places to quit booking you. You screwed up big time. So then me and Ripper came up with this idea. He says I made him do it, but he enjoyed doing this. So a few weeks later, we were at a new Ohio wrestling show in Columbus, and Grant went up to shake Ripper's hand, and Ripper just pulls him in and goes, not right now. In a few weeks at OCW, you and me are going to have a big talk. So then, and Ripper's son was a referee at the time. So Grant goes in the locker room. Logan won't even talk to him. He won't acknowledge him at all. He just walks away from him. So Grant's freaking out the whole ride home. He's like, I don't know what to do. What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? So then we come up with the idea that it's going to be wrestler's court. And Ripper is going to be stating his claim that Grant messed up and he needs to pay a fine of some sort. So we're in the back. And Ripper deserves an Academy Award for this one. Because he starts chewing into Grant so hard that I thought he was messing with me now. And I was like, oh, he actually is mad at him. He just wanted to get on my good side so that he could rip into Grant. Oh, man. And he's just tearing into him. And are we allowed to curse?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's uncut.
All right.
It's uncut.
Because this is the big part of the story is he's like, why would you do that, Grant? And then you wouldn't even man up to me. Why would you do that? And Grant says, so me and Matt Taylor were the ones where like, we'll figure out some sort of punishment that'll be hilarious.
Oh, yeah.
And we did.
When we get back, Matt goes, I don't have an end game for this. I'm like, neither do I. So go ahead.
We're just making it up as we go. So he's like, I'm sorry. I'm a bitch. I don't know what you say. I'm a bitch. And we're like, oh, well, there's the payoff right there. He just called himself a bitch.
I think he said, I'm a pussy.
Yeah.
He said I'm a pussy. And then me and Matt looked at him and goes, that's it. And then was it Matt that let him in on it? He said, yeah.
Yeah. So we were about to give the verdict, and Matt Taylor pulled him aside and said, look, there's a time-honored tradition in wrestling, and that's that you don't mess with another wrestler's girlfriend, wife, daughter, anything of the sort. There's another time-honored tradition in wrestling, and that's the rib. You just called yourself a bitch in front of everybody.
I had it on video, and you could hear Jimmy go, you called yourself a pussy!
Damn, man, that's great.
That kid was getting bricks for like 2 weeks Well, he was already shitting bricks before that, but then as Jimmy said, after what I did at the new Ohio Wrestling Show, and it all started is I didn't even know about it.
Right.
I'd left earlier the night in question, and I went into a town to go pick up dinner the next day, and my wife's texting me saying, hey, it'd be all right if Desi dated Grant. Well, I'm like, no. But they're the same age. I'm like, you say these things as if they matter. So when I get home, she tells me the whole story, blah, blah, blah. And I text Jimmy. I'm like, I just found out what happened last night. We got to fuck with Grant. He was like, already started.
Damn.
Kudos to Jimmy, too. Jimmy had all them young kids believing that.
Oh, none of them were clued in on it.
I could end their wrestling career. Podunk manager from Ohio. Get them barred from all of wrestling. We forgot. I forgot about I brought Cody students.
Yeah.
So Cody Hawk.
Oh, Cody, yeah. Yeah, Cody
Hawk. I brought
Hawk.
2 Cody Hawk students with me. Now, Logan couldn't go because Logan already accepted a booking roughing it over in Indiana. So these 2 came with me. And that's the reason we was filming it for Logan to watch when we got done. So I'm like, here, I hand my phone to Douglas Andrews, no relation. They filmed this, and we're filming it. And when we got done, he goes, you could have fucking let me in on what was going on. I was very uncomfortable.
Damn, that's great, man. One thing we're talking about with Ripper is just he loves to rib. You guys just love to rib, and it's great, man, because you gotta have a good time. You gotta cut up, and you gotta know how to take it as you dish it out. You gotta learn how to take it too, and. Mm-hmm. Watching some footage of you in the ring over the weekend, Jimmy. I checked out that OCW Heavyweight title match you had there, and my mind's drawing a blank right now on who you faced there.
Jock.
Yes.
Jock. Oh, Jock. That was a good one.
Yeah, that was pretty damn good, because when I pulled you up there on YouTube and I saw that there, I was looking at the videos that have the most views. So I went ahead and that was at the top of the list there. So I clicked on that and I was watching it there. I loved how he played to the crowd, man. The crowd, he came out there and he just pissed off the crowd. He calls you out, you come out there, and I was telling Ripper, I said it was an underdog story from what I got from it. He worked you and worked you. I liked the action outside the ring where you'd build momentum, and then he would come back at you, and then you got back in the ring with him, and he just pretty much worked you, and then you came back. When you made the comeback there, the crowd was with you all the way, no matter what, because they didn't like him. You were the fan favorite there, and just the stuff that you did going back and forth there in the ring and in turnbuckle, and just the kicks that you laid into them, and just the trading of the shots, and with the finisher there with the 1, 2, 3, I was like, hell yeah! I was like, this was great. This is just your basic heel face story there, and you came back and you won. You retained the championship until what's his name came in and cashed in and then took advantage of it and took the title from you. But I love that. Who was that came out there? I've seen him before. Who was that?
That's the guiding light, Matthew Taylor.
Okay.
He was my arch enemy for a good solid 3 years. Not just in one promotion, like every damn place I showed up in Ohio. I'm like, what are we doing tonight? Well, you're managing this guy, and he's facing Matt Taylor. What?
Oh man, that's crazy. That's crazy. So
I want to point out how you said the fans really behind Jimmy, and the OCW fans have watched Jimmy. They've watched him this whole time. They've grown. Some of them kids have grown up with Jimmy.
Yeah.
they so relate to him there in OCW, no matter what town they go to. And the same is true when he comes up to Lima. When he started off as a heel, they, like I said, Jimmy, if they hate him, they hate him. Yeah. They love him, and that's because of Jimmy, because of the connections he can make. Like I said, they feel, and there's a lot of fans, I've never seen them feel so connected to a guy. He's one of those guys that at any time he could surf through the crowd if he wanted to, go through the crowd whenever he wanted to, with no fear of something dangerous happening to him, because that's how much they love this kid.
Yeah. Yet now, talking about OCW there, Ripper said you've wrestled in War. You've wrestled quite a bit there, haven't you? What other promotions have you wrestled in Ohio?
OCW and War are the two. Those are like my homes. Like, I've been there. I had my first matches in those two companies, and I've been there ever since. The other ones in Ohio that I've been at are I've gone down to Rockstar Pro in Dayton. I've done Midwest Championship Wrestling out in Marion. Future Great Wrestling down in Hamilton. A little bit with Mega Championship Wrestling up in Cleveland area.
New Ohio.
Yeah, New Ohio down in Columbus. I try to, like, I've got OCW in Akron, and then at the other end of the state, I got Lima for War Wrestling. So I try to, outside of that, stay out of Ohio, because I don't want to, I try to make myself a commodity. So it's like, all right, if you're in an hour radius, you have to go to this company to see me and not one over there. Like, and I try to, so I'm like, all right, those are my two Ohio ones. So I'll do one in Pittsburgh, try to do one in West Virginia. Obviously right now, not much of anything's happening, but
yeah,
I try to spread it out a little bit.
That's good. That's good. Getting around there and try to spread it out there. David C. Russell wants to give you a shout out there in the chat here. He says, shout out to Jimmy Shane.
Hey man, how's it going?
He's been tuning in tonight here on this live episode here on the Everett Lee Show Facebook page and Podcasting Network Facebook page there. Everyone tuning in, you got any questions you want to shout out in the chat to Jimmy? Go ahead, sound off, and I'll get to them as they pop in on the chat there, as Ripper Blackheart and myself talk with No Shame, Jimmy Shane.
It's a bit of a tongue twister.
Say that.
Yeah, it is. No. Who came now? How'd you come up with talking about the name? How did you come up with your name there?
So as we pointed out earlier, my favorite wrestler growing up was the Hurricane, Shane Helms.
Okay.
So that's where the Shane came from, for Jimmy Shane. Jimmy's my real name. And then the No Shame. So we were trying to come up with, so when I trained for wrestling, it was down in Coshocton, Ohio, which is about 2 hours from where I live. So we'd hop in a car, me, Joey Vengeance, Juice Jennings, and Sherman Tank. We'd hop in a car, drive down 2 hours, train for a few hours, drive back. And for whatever reason, Tank was in a different car that day. And I was 19 at the time, so I was always running my mouth, doing something stupid. And so we're stopped at a red light, and we pull up, and Take's in the car next to us. And I'm yelling something crude at him. I don't remember what, but it was just awful. And I was like, I don't care. I got nothing going on. I got no shame. I'm Jimmy Shane. And like both cars stopped, and we all got wide-eyed. And I went, oh, that's it. I'm No Shame Jimmy Shane. There's the name. All right.
That's amazing. I love that, man. I love that, because usually with talent, and you can agree with this, Ripper, talent coming up with a name and a gimmick it's hard for some of them, and some of them it just falls natural to them. It just falls natural to them with coming up with a name and a gimmick, and others it takes a while there for that to happen. And that's pretty cool how that just happened right there. You said Sherman Tank. I watched a match a few months ago when I was talking to Ripper when I had him on the Everett Lee Show. We're talking about the Sherman Tank, and you're talking about the one match that you had there at War Wrestling where you got pulled in the ring, Ripper, and you got
5 minutes alone with me.
Yeah, I love that. Sherman Tank, man, that guy is big. That's a big guy.
Yeah.
You've been in the
Not anymore.
Yeah, he's like half the guy he used
really?
to be.
Yeah.
No way.
I want him to come back to wrestling so I can throw him around now.
Oh.
How you like that?
Now, with War Wrestling, since we're talking about War Wrestling, we talk about Sherman Tank. Some of your favorite matches that you've had in War Wrestling. What would stick out for you? That some of your favorite matches that you loved, that you say, this match here, I love this match here.
I've had a lot of very interesting matches at War, to say the least. There a lot of shenanigans are had. One that really sticks out are a lot of my intergender matches at War. Like, they all are very unique. Like, my very first one was when Robbie Starr and I wrestled Matt Mason and his wife Jamie. I was only a few months in, and I remember like, oh, this is really cool. Like, it was like the crowd was so invested in it, and we're wrestling a husband and a wife. You know, like, how unique is that? And then it's a shame what the subject matter of it was, because my feud with Heather Owens was a lot of fun, but it does not age well because of some of the things that were said and the way that we treated intergender wrestling for that. And but outside of that, Heather and I, we had great chemistry, and then we ended up tagging every once in a while, so it was a lot of fun to do that. And then this is actually one, I just uploaded this to my YouTube page, a match that I wish we could have done a lot more with was me and Storm Grayson.
Okay.
I feel like, and Ripper would understand this, I feel like once he turned heel, if him and I could have ran, we could have done a lot of stuff together. Like, I feel like he was a lot of like the other end of the spectrum with me. Like,
he was a lot like heel Jimmy Shane in a lot of ways, but different enough.
Yeah.
That it wasn't a complete, oh well, he's just bad guy. Yeah, I think that would have been some very interesting storylines and matches, and too bad things happen the way they happen, because we probably could have made some money.
That's crazy, man. That is definitely crazy. Now, you said hardcore Heather Owens. She's tough, man. I watched quite a bit of her matches there. I had the pleasure of actually a couple years ago. I believe it was just about a couple years ago. I had the pleasure of talking with her right after she retired. She had her last match there, and I was one of the first ones there to talk with her after her retirement. And I remember watching matches with her from War. Ryan Michaels, who else here? Help me out here. Ripper, Ryan Michaels, Mitch, no, I was going to say Mitch Magnus, Mark Magnum. Yes, Mark Magnum. Yeah. I've watched their matches there, and just, I love what I see with the project with War, and I love the stuff that Ripper's done. You've managed Jimmy, haven't you, Ripper, at one point?
Not at War. I managed Jimmy in New Ohio.
New Ohio?
One time. Yeah.
Really?
Which we have some fans that go to both, so I'm sure they was like, what the hell's going on? Because, like I said, Jimmy's the darling babyface up in Lima, and not so much in New Ohio.
Oh, okay.
And even when I was a heel in War Wrestling, like, we never, like, I kind of always liked, like, there was always the 450 boys, the Dirty, there was always these groups. There's one Hall of Fame where Juice Jennings has a picture on his Twitter somewhere, because at the time there were so many heel factions in War. So it's like the Dirty, the 450 boys, they're all sitting together, and then I'm sitting alone because I don't have any friends. I'm just sitting there all mad and my arms crossed, and I was like, this. And I always liked that about my heel character at War, because I didn't have friends. Like, right. I was the lone guy. I wasn't associated with everyone else, and it kind of made me stick out more.
Yeah,
I would say if you had to associate original heel Jimmy, when Jimmy first came with being heel, almost kind of Tully Blanchard-ish, I would say, because Tully Blanchard always reminded me of like the brat.
Yeah.
Just a spoiled brat that you just wanted to, like, somebody should have beat your ass a long time ago and they didn't. And that's how Jimmy came across as a heel when he first started, was he would just run he would run his mouth, and you would just want somebody to punch him right in the face, and just when you think they're going to do it, something with Robbie Starr would come in and do something, or he'd poke him in the eyes, or, do whatever he could to worm out of it. When Jimmy was heel, that's what I got up. The early heels now, when he's developed and matured over the years, and so's his character. But if you wanted something to base off, you want to get an idea of what Jimmy was when he first started. Think 80s, probably even before the Horsemen, when he was with J.J. Dillon and before they joined the Horsemen. Just how just how you just want to just slap the shit right out of.
That's a good heel right there. That's the type of heel that you bring heat and you just hate so much, man. And you being a heel, of course, you like being a heel more than a face, because with a face, no.
Jimmy, because Jimmy likes to sell shit.
Oh, okay.
Like one of these shirts.
I like that shirt, man. I like that. And it just the point I was going to get at is it's hard. It's easy to work it's easy to get the crowd to hate you as a heel, but it's harder to get the crowd to love you as a baby face, to like you. It's easy to get them to hate you, but it's harder to get them to like you. And you're pretty much now more booked as a face than a heel.
It's weird. The two plate, like OCW and War, I'm face because those are my homes. But then if I go somewhere, pretty much those are my two homes. And everywhere else, it's like a random sporadic appearance. Sporadic appearances, I'm always a heel. That's just what you're here for one night, all right, you'll be a heel. And I like that. I like being able to flex the different muscles every once in a while and challenge myself in different ways. And then just try new stuff,
Yeah. It's always good. It's always good to do that. It's always good. I do want to mention this right here. I want to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll dive more into the conversation right here. But first, there's a couple things I do want to mention. Since 1995, HighSpots.com has grown to be the company it is by serving the wrestling fans throughout the world with a great selection of merchandise. HighSpots.com has everything a wrestling fan could want, including the latest WWE and TNA releases, classic wrestling merchandise, and their HighSpots.com exclusive releases. HighSpots.com is the leading online retailer for professional wrestling and mixed martial arts, offering autographs, figures, DVDs, apparel, wrestling gear, and even wrestling rings. Their largest clients include WWE, Impact Wrestling, ROH, and AEW. Click on the High Spots logo on the Everett Lee Show page over on podcasty.net to order. Whether you are a wrestling fan, pro wrestler, or promoter, you can find what you're looking for at highspots.com. If you grew up as a kid in the 1980s or just a fan of 1980s pop culture, then ADTs is for you. ADTs sells a huge variety of licensed t-shirts featuring characters, movies, TV shows, video games, and music stars from the 1980s through today. They also have great costumes from 80s pulp culture too. ADTs.com sells officially licensed pulp culture t-shirts. As you might guess, their focus is on the 1980s, but do sometimes sell other cool pop culture related tees. 80s Tees has been in business since 2000, meaning they like retro 80s stuff too before it was cool. Follow the link provided in the description section of this episode for more. 80stees.com.
You're listening to The Everett Lee Show.
would be one of the worst injuries that you endured since you've been wrestling?
I've gotten pretty lucky where I've never had to take time off for an injury or anything. I haven't had to cancel any shows, but I hurt my knee playing high school football, and that has been a reoccurring thing where it's come up again a few times. And there's 2 big times where I've hurt at wrestling where I thought I was going to be out, and then luckily I had a few weekends off and it came back. One was at War Wrestling. The first time Mojo McQueen's debut match was against me. And when he planted me with his finish, something happened and my knee just jammed. And I was like, oh, well, that's not good.
Uh-oh.
But I was young and dumb and I was like, whatever. So I just went out, drank that night. And here's the problem. I danced the night away because I was very drunk. So then when I woke up the next morning, I could not get out of bed into my car. So I literally was like crawling to my car to get home because I live about 3 hours from Lima. So it was not fun. And then a few months after that, I was wrestling Gino DiCapo at a birthday party for OCW. And there's just 20 kids there. Nothing much. So we'd have this easy match, nothing bad. The light, nothing could have got hurt. I get out of the ring. I go to give the birthday kid a high five. He had spilled his soda on the ground, and I slipped in his pop and dislocated my knee again.
Oh, my God. Damn.
I get to the back, and I'm like, ow! I was like, my knee's fucked. And they're like, what'd you do? Like, you didn't... I was like, I slipped in some pop, and now I'm hurt. Like,
damn, man.
All Jimmy's opponents take notes.
right?
Spill pop. Your style in the ring, just how you move and your footwork in the ring is just... I love what I see in the ring there. And you're great at just your striking, your footwork. Who inspires you? Who do you look up to, and who do you look at when you're like, well, I'm going to take this or I'm going to use this? What's your inspiration for what you do?
So here's 2 big answers to this. So one of my matches I love to study is Dusty Rhodes and Honky Tonk Man from SummerSlam, because that's heel Jimmy versus face Jimmy. Those are the 2 guys that I emulate, and I'm like, all right, good. But then someone that I don't think people realize how much I steal from him until I'm going to say it, or maybe I'm going to say this and everyone's going to be like, yeah, we know that you steal everything. I try to do a lot. I don't do his moves. I don't do anything, but the way I move in there, I'm not very coordinated in the ring. Like I appreciate you saying you like my footwork, but that's more the way I mask it, because I'm not an athlete. I'm not this great 5-star caliber football player. I played JV when I hurt my knee. I wasn't like the star quarterback or anything. It's John Cena, actually.
Okay.
Because he's also not very coordinated. He's clumsy, but there's something real about it.
Right.
And that's what I like to think I bring too, is just something like, all right, it's not going to be pretty, but I'm going to hurt you. Like,
right. Exactly. And John, I mean, I hate to bring it up, John has like the 5 moves of doom he does, and that's all he needs there. And what you use in the ring, you use that, and that's pretty much what you need there. And Ripper sent me a video of you. You were talking about dancing, and it was a video of you in the ring dancing, and there was someone out on the outside there, and they're yelling. They're like, "Cut the music off! This ain't no dance contest. And you're out there just dancing and having a good time." I was laughing at this. I said, "Oh my God, this is just great, man!" I enjoyed that video that you sent, Ripper.
That's pretty much a solid 2 years of Jimmy's life.
Maybe more. Maybe more.
Whenever he came to Lima.
I love that how you got out in the crowd there, and you just started, you're having a good time with the crowd, and I loved it. Like, shut the music off, stop, and they kept on, and you just ignored them and just having a good time. I love that, man. I just love that. And
that's what got me started at War. Was I had a dance off in OCW. It was me versus Mikey D for the first time.
Uh-huh.
And we were like, oh, well, we got to have a dance off, because we were 2 buddies, and we were like, all right, let's have fun. And Big Tom was the OCW commissioner at the time. And he booked that same exact match for the very next War show. And then somehow I just weaseled my way in and kept coming in and in, because I wasn't supposed to be in war.
Yeah.
I don't know how many people this might like show people. It was actually Robbie Starr's backup was Jason Bain. And then he just retired one day, and I was like, all right, here's a spot for me. What's up?
Wow.
Yeah. Biggest show, the first biggest show we had, first time we actually celebrated an anniversary show was at War 10, and we did a War Games match. Jimmy's not even a year in the business. This is the main event of an anniversary show. And Jimmy Shane is in the War Games main event.
Started for my team.
Damn, man. How was that? What was that feeling like?
It was so luckily everybody at that match I had already wrestled a billion times, and it was, I don't know, I don't get nervous in front of a crowd. Like, I get nervous for matches, but the crowd, I haven't been in front of a crowd that I'm like, wow, that was a big crowd that night.
Yeah.
But I haven't been like, oh my God, what am I going to do? There's a lot of people here. Because I came out there and they hated me right away because they were War fans who had been spent the last almost full year. Because like Ripper said, I had been in for a year yet.
Yeah.
But they were like, oh, we hate this guy. So I was like, all right, I got this. And the cage almost brings like a disconnect from you and the crowd because it's surrounding the ring. So like, I almost don't like cage matches. I've had like 6 of them in my career at this point, and I don't like it because I feel like I'm separated from the crowd, and I like that so much. But yeah, and then when they told me I would be starting for my team in that War Games match, I was like, oh, all right, I guess we're doing this.
Whatever you want, right? Whatever you want.
That's the thing about Big Tom. If he sees something he likes, like he likes the fact that Jimmy would go out there and just act a fool.
Yeah.
Do the dancing, run his mouth. Tom liked it. I mean, and then there was, and what I like, and I've said it to Jimmy, and I've said it to anybody listen when they ask me my opinion about Jimmy Shane, is no point as Jimmy's like, oh, I want to be this, or I want to be that. Jimmy comes to the shows, what do you want me to do?
That's good.
Jimmy does what's asked of him. I've never heard him complain about where he's placed on a show or what his spot is. He's like where he's positioned in places. Like at War, he's one of the main faces. OCW, he's one of the main faces. That's not just because he trained at OCW, or that's not just because he's friends with so and so. Because he's put forth the work and he's been professional throughout all of this.
Right.
The whole time he's been doing this, he has put himself in them positions. With what he does. And whenever there's like, through the years, it's like, roster's getting kind of big. Going to have to try to cut some people. And Jimmy knows his name came up a couple times. I went to bat for Jimmy every time. I said, I like Jimmy. I like Jimmy because Jimmy does whatever we ask, whenever we ask.
Right.
He dressed up as his own twin sister, for crying out loud. I mean,
you dressed up as your own twin sister. Yeah. I got to hear about this, man. How did this happen now?
First time it was at our fair show, just to...
I only did it once.
We needed to kill some time or something.
Right.
No, it was, I forget who Thunder Kitty was supposed to wrestle, but she was supposed to wrestle a girl.
Yeah.
And that girl's car broke down, like in Indiana or something, so there was no way she was going to make it to the show.
Yeah.
And Big Tom was scrambling. He's like, and like Ripper said, and I'll take this proudly, if you give me something, I'll make it work. And Tom knew that, so he looked at me and he's like, all right, I need you to wrestle Thunder Kitty. Find a way to make it work. And it was supposed to be for the women's championship. My first title shot ever in War Wrestling was for the women's championship. And I was like, how do I do this? How can I make this work? And luckily, I won't reveal too much, but there was a Super Oprah was there hanging out. And she's a big woman, and she's got some dresses that would fit me. And I went, all right, here's what we're going to do. So I went out there, and I was like, Thunder Kitty issued an open challenge. And I hit the ring. I was like, yeah, I'll do it. I'll wrestle you. I want a title. Whatever. This is my first title shot in war. I've never had one. I'll take it. And she's like, you're a man. You can't wrestle for the women's title. And I was like, no, but my sister's here. Jamie Lynn Shane. She's here. So I ran to the back, quickly put on the dress and the wig, and ran back out there and pretended like I was someone else the entire time. And I was like,
Kiss me at the end of the night.
I did.
Wow. But
I wouldn't mind it, but there was a little more tongue than I was used to.
damn, man, that's great. But did you kind of use the same style, or you mixed it up a little bit there?
I think I pretty much did the same stuff I would anyhow, which especially at that time, I was very much a comedy wrestler, so a lot of my stuff worked both ways, and it didn't matter if it almost worked better that I was being dressed as a girl doing my stuff and made it funnier.
That's great, man. That's great. I love that. I love that. Like Ripper said there, you come to the event, you come to the show, whatever needs to be done, what do I do, and you do it. That's great. I love your work ethic, man. I love that. I love that. Current wrestling, do you keep up with like anything on TV, like NXT, WWE, AEW? Do you keep up with any of that stuff?
The best I can. I don't have cable or TV, like we cut the cord like everyone else is doing nowadays, so I just have streaming services, so yeah. I can't watch Raw or SmackDown or NXT live. I have AT&T, and with my phone provider, there's some weird streaming service they have where I do get TNT, so I watch AEW whenever I can, just because I want to watch live wrestling. That's how I prefer watching it. But thankfully, WWE, the way as soon as Raw or SmackDown ends, they put up highlights on YouTube. So I'm like, all right, I can watch everything still. I can see what I want. And I keep up with everything, and I try to keep up with Impact, Ring of Honor. I keep up with things like Game Changer Wrestling and New Japan, and I try to watch everything, because if you're not paying attention to what's happening, you're gonna fall, someone's gonna pass you by if you're not that. I'm not saying that because I'm very old school. Nothing I do is too flashy or too spot monkey-ish or anything like that, but you kind of have to be aware of all that stuff to be like, all right, I'll watch it and be like, all right, that I see what they did and why that worked. How could I do that in my style to make it work for me? And try to pick up a little bit from everything. Right.
That's good. I've kind of here lately. I've been working with a wrestling promotion right here in Florida, Knockout Wrestling, and I got the opportunity to do not live commentary. Well, I did this past week, a couple weeks ago. I did live commentary. Me and my friend Chris Carnage, we ended up doing live commentary because we're doing post production with commentary, and I've gotten the opportunity to do that, and I love it. I love it, just sitting there, calling the match, being the heel. I love that, doing something outside of my element and calling a match, being heel. And here lately, as I've been working on that and working on stuff with that promotion, I've come, because I mentioned to someone the other day, I said, I've not watched that much wrestling here in the last 2 months, man. It's kind of slipped.
It gets hard when you're in there.
Yeah, I see that now because before, when I talked to a lot of workers I talk to, it's like, no, I do keep up, but I don't, or I don't watch it at all. And I'd sit there after an interview at the end of the night while I'm gathering up and getting ready to do edits and stuff on my show. I think to myself, it's like, they don't watch it. I was like, huh, okay. But now, being in it now and seeing it, I can see why now, because you got so much going on now. And I'm sitting there. I was talking to a friend the other day, and I said, I've not watched much wrestling the last 2 months now, since I'm working in it now, doing this, because it's like I'm getting called up or text, hey, you think you can do this here? We got this episode here. Can you we need some audio on it, and I'm just like less and less, and I'm like, damn, man, before I know it, I'm gonna be like Vince McMahon, not realize someone's on TV. Like, who's that guy right there?
I was the same way when I first started, and these guys are saying I don't even watch it. I was watching wrestling 4 out of 7 days a week between everything that was on TV. I'm like, how do you not watch it? But now, I haven't watched WWE since Money in the Bank.
You haven't?
None of it. None of it. I haven't watched a pay-per-view. I haven't watched any of the TV. AEW has been the only thing I've watched regularly. And then I just started watching Impact again last week. And then I watched Ring of Honor in probably like 2 years, and I was watching that religiously there for a while. Plus you kind of get burnt out on it when you're in it.
Yeah.
You're like, I just want to, don't get me wrong, we all love wrestling. But we all need a day, at least one day, where there's nothing wrestling going on in our lives too.
Yeah. I pretty much do that. Like on Sundays, I sit down with my wife and my kid, and we sit there, and I put on, we go through a Disney Plus movie there. I think this last Sunday we watched Cars 2 and 3, and my 3-year-old, she loved it. I'm a sucker for those Pixar movies, man. So she loved it, and I'm like, wow, this is great. And then Monday comes around, and it's just getting back into things with wrestling, and just through the week there. And I'm trying to figure out how I can get back into it, because eventually, like on Wednesday night, I'm going to sit down and watch AEW and NXT. No, here I am on the computer, and I'm gathering and working on things, and doing things, and I end up falling asleep. And
the best I could do is record it all and then watch it here and there as you can go. Is about the only way I've found to be able to keep up on stuff.
Yeah.
But going back to the commentating thing.
Yes.
Did you know young Jimmy has filled in for me numerous times at War Wrestling for commentating? Because I don't know if I'm pretty sure I've shared this with you before, Everett, but I was on commentating, and he would also have me managing like 6 different guys. So I'd have to be in and out, and I would constantly have to find somebody to take my place. And my go-to guy almost every time is Jimmy. Matter of fact, I went back, right when all this COVID shit first started, I went back and I was rewatching one of them from the Civic Center when they decided to flip the entrance down to that hallway. And I was managing Chiron. I think it was Chiron and Jake something. And I'm listening to the commentating, like, who is that commentating? They sound pretty good. And then I go, oh shit, that's Jimmy.
That's how do you feel? How do you feel about commentary? I mean, when you first did it, Jimmy, how did that feel? You're doing it live, and that's nothing like like with me. I started doing posts, so if I screwed up, I can always go back and redo it. Live, I found out a couple weekends ago, you screw up, you got to keep going, man. How was that for you?
It was I always, when I'm in Jimmy Shane mode, it's very easy to run my mouth. It's almost hard not to run my mouth. I gotta let him talk a little bit, whoever the play-by-play guy might have been at the time. And one time, so in War Wrestling, we do this thing every year where there's a giant wheel with everyone's name on it. Uh-huh. And it's 100% legit. You spin the wheel, whoever it lands on, that's the first opponent. You spin the wheel, whoever it lands on, that's the second opponent. And because Ripper was managing like 8 people, he had to be in the back ready to manage whoever was coming out. And for whatever reason, I went out there and I did commentary for the whole show, even though I was in the tournament and could have been up at any point. And I was like, whatever, I'll do my match, and then when it's time for me to wrestle, I'll go to the back and I'll be done. You know, like I was the second to last match in the tournament, just by fate. So I'm sitting there the whole show, like not warmed up at all, not ready to go. And I'm just like, oh, well, at least I'm getting to watch the whole show. And that was the most nerve-wracking experience, because not only did I have to do commentary, I'm like, all right, I could be wrestling this person. Nope, I'm not wrestling this person. All right, I get to sit back and relax. All right, I could be up. Nope, I'm not. All right, I got to talk about this match again.
That's
yeah, because it was like, yeah, you were, I think, was it next to last or last? You might have been dead last.
I was next to last, because so then when it's finally me, I was the first name for my match. So I hit the ring, and then for some reason they had come up with this backup plan, because they knew it was a possibility that if it landed on my name again, I would get to pick my opponent.
Yes, I remember that.
And somehow it landed on my name again. Like, what? I get and they told me who to pick. So I will reveal behind the curtain that they told me who to pick, because I highly disagreed with who I picked. Because I picked Matt Taylor, who squashed me in 3 seconds.
Yeah.
But I wanted to pick Donnie Hollows of the Painkillers, because he was not coming back the next month, so that meant I would have advanced in the tournament.
Wow, that's crazy, man. That's awesome. You got to do commentary, and pretty much interesting career of you, Jimmy Shane. Just, I mean, you've been doing it. You said since 19? You were 19, like last 10 years now? 10, 11 years?
That was when I started doing, because of injuries and the school not being open, I had my first match when I was 21, so the last 8 years.
Last 8 years. Okay. And it's amazing, and I'm definitely gonna look up more of your matches on YouTube there. I'm gonna throw up on the Everett Lee Show page on Facebook. I'm gonna throw up there the match that we were talking about earlier. I'm going to put that up there so people can check out on the page there. And anything you want to add, Ripper, before we close up on this episode here and talking with Jimmy?
Let them know where they all can find you and where they can buy all the multiple Jimmy Shane merchandise that you have.
So I've gotten pretty lucky where I'm on social media at Jimmy Shane on Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat. I somehow got no spaces, no numbers, everything, just at Jimmy Shane on everything. Besides YouTube, which I'm trying to build up my YouTube right now during this pandemic when I can't do much of anything else. I'm trying to grow my YouTube channel, and that's at youtube.com/Jimmy Shane TV. But everything else is Jimmy Shane, and there's this hydroplane boat racer whose name is Jimmy Shane, and he hates me because I always get tagged in his stuff because they assume it's him because he's way more famous than I am for some reason. But then you can also go check out my merch, my t-shirts at prowrestlingtees.com/Jimmy Shane.
Oh, nice.
And Jimmy's always putting out new stuff. So you see something you like, you better hurry up and get it because his stuff goes fast and he doesn't just reprint the same stuff over and over again.
Yeah.
Something new, something fresh.
Nice, man. Nice. I do want to thank you for coming on here, and man, had a blast with you, Ripper, as always. And I'm going to mention this right here before we do close out. Podcasting Network, your top source for independent podcasting. Head over to podcasting.net. Follow them on social media, Podcasting Network on Facebook, Twitter at PodcastCityNet. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, Podcasting Network, and on Twitch, /Podcast City Network. Podcast City Network. Be creative, be independent, be yourself. When I need a logo or graphic design done, I use 3 Count Design. 3 Count Design offers a wide range of graphic design products, video, photography, and other forms of media. Everything from t-shirt designs to websites. For more information, head over to facebook.com/3countdesign. That is facebook.com/3countdesign. When I want to kick back a few cold ones with my friends, I head over to City Limits Tap Room. City Limits Tap Room has a wide selection of TVs to watch your favorite sports, indoor and outdoor seating. They are pet friendly. City Limits Tap Room also has food made fresh to order, and the grilled cheese is excellent. I recommend the grilled cheese and the apple pie cider with fries on the side. Can't go wrong with that, baby. For more information for upcoming events, head over to facebook.com/City Limits Taproom. Want to give a thanks to No Shane, Jimmy Shane, for coming on the podcast this week, and his mention on the episode that I put up on the Everett Lee Show page, the match that he had with Jock Sampson for the Ohio Championship Wrestling Heavyweight Championship match. Jock Sampson versus No Shane, Jimmy Shane. Please check out the match over on the Facebook page, Everett Lee Show. And I want to, again, thank him for coming on to the podcast. Had a great time. And that is it for this episode, this week of the Everett Lee Show. We'll see you again next time for another new episode.